Tennessean. This is Reverend Becca Stevens, who is possibly the most awesome human being on earth. I am a huge fan, and I'm actually just a tiny bit intimidated to be sitting next to her. But Becca is an angel on earth, and I am super honored to be here because I'm a person in recovery, and Becca helps people in recovery, and so many more people than that. So that's not actually why we're here, but I wanted to take 2 seconds to say how much respect and love I have for you and what you do here. And I've been a little emotional today, so I'm going to get choked up later on. But the real reason we're here is because of this book, which has one of the longest titles that I've read, The Way of Tea and Justice, Rescuing the World's Favorite Beverage from Its Violent History. So I'm going to start with, so of course that title is like, wow, I did not realize that tea had a violent history, because of course when one thinks of tea, one thinks calming, soothing. Becca, you have a cup there, see, she will show you, like, look how calming and soothing she looks. She has a honey stick in
you
her.
have it too.
I do too. It's your book right now, but there it is. So I didn't realize the tea had a violent history, and I suspect that you didn't necessarily know that right off the jump too. So let's start with your love of tea. Let's start with you.
Okay. Anyway, I want to thank you too for being here. I have a tender heart about this. This is, I think, for both of us, our very first Google Hangout, which is fun to do it with a friend to get to have this conversation. And I didn't know anything about tea. My love of tea is probably like most people, a memory of your mother making tea, or um, having the sense on a cold morning somebody gave you tea once, but a distant kind of memory. And so when Thistle Farms was growing leaps and bounds with our education and outreach, we've had something like 2,300 unique visitors in the last couple of years. And so we decided we were going to open a cafe. And tea was going to be part of our story.
Now, for you personally too, like I remember, like there was a description in the book of and the way of cupping, of holding this and holding it to your chest, and like every time I read that, I actually mellowed some. So, like, was this something learned, something that you imitated somebody else doing it, or how did you sort of get to sort of, I don't know the right word necessarily with you?
I think it's natural. Don't you feel like that's a natural thing? It's like it's a warm mug, it's a cold day, and it feels like it's like a hand warmer. It's, I mean, it's literally, you see people do it with coffee too, but what I love about it is like tea just calls you to ritual. It calls you to calm down. It's the beautiful tea is steeping in there that, it's a gift. And so for me, it wasn't like I ever thought about it, but I found myself like almost as important as drinking is the idea, especially on days like this in Nashville. It's crazy cold. It's cold, and that you can hold tea and it can be a hand warmer. Start soothing you and warming you from the outside.
So this love of tea of yours has been lifelong. Can you show them your tea bag, by the way? It is the coolest. Like,
so this,
like, there's so many different things going on. It looks like a piece of art instead of a tea bag.
This is, I'm gonna put it on this so you can see it. This is our Thistle tea blend, and it was one of the first blends that we made. And there's actually, I know this kills you, but there's no tea in it. It's just an herbal blend, so it's actually, like, according to the experts, not us, this is a tincture. But what it is it's cardamom and thistle, and it's a blend that we've always tried to include thistle on everything at Thistle Farms, everything at the cafe, so that we can use that old weed and remember how beautiful everything is and how it can be restored.
It smells calming and amazing. Delicious.
People should come to the cafe
if you're in Nashville. Okay, so take me from your love of tea to Thistle Farms Cafe and how it became a key component of what you're doing.
Sure. So we opened the cafe, and we opened it last year. And the whole time we were opening it, we were trying to find teas that were healing for the body, healing for the earth, and that, like all of our products, honored the women who were the producers of the product. It was harder on tea than any other commodity we had done for the last 15 years at Thistle Farms.
Yeah, like when is that first time that you found out, like, wow, this is not going to be easy to do in a way that, like you said, that honors women and social justice.
Well, one of the very first things that happened is we were looking online about like women-owned farms. We thought, where we try to get like food from the women who are caterers who are in recovery or not, or just have had a hard time and are coming into it. We couldn't find it on the TV. Could not find it. And I happened upon a 45-minute video that is online. It's a documentary called The Bitter Taste of Tea. And it is literally about the current state of affairs in tea estates and tea plantations globally. And it just was like, whoa, what is that? What is happening? And that was really the first step towards, just trying to figure out a way to have tea that you felt good about drinking, that you knew wasn't causing somebody to have, be in poverty their whole lives because they're picking tea, or being beaten by their husbands because they're growing tea, or not being able to clothe their children. But it was good for the earth, good for the women who were picking it, and good for everybody who was drinking.
Well, let's talk about, if you spend a little bit more time with the injustices part, the part you just described, like so, and you talked with me about this with the article for the Tennessean. What are some of the things that you uncovered in terms of the brutality that sort of things that were good?
Well, to put it simply, if you want to follow the history of trafficking, follow tea. Whether you're talking about clipper ships or the East Indian Tea Company or the opiate wars, or all the ways that we have, from China, from the east all the way to the west, and how things were transported around the world. Follow tea. It's been at every war. It's been at every treaty. It's been on every table in every country almost. It's amazing. It's the most widely consumed beverage after water.
See, I'm gonna guess beer, but I'm bringing my personal stuff into this.
I think it should be beer, probably, but it's not. It's tea. But I think people would think it's
coffee. Right. I would have guessed coffee too.
So, really, once you started looking back at that history and you think about once China lost the opiate wars, where they were literally trading tea for, what do you make that of opium? Opium. Okay, so they were taking opium. They were all addicted to opium. I can't remember the name of the drugs. That's probably
I'm with you. I got you.
So once they lost and those borders got open, and then every place there was a colony of England, they made tea farms. And they brought the tea in, and they brought basically slave labor in. For all intents and purposes, slave labor. And they said somewhere, this is in the early 1900s, the mortality rate was right at 50% of the people they were bringing into work for tea plants. And there were no laws, so they said, the tea masters could go out to the fields and have any girl they wanted with no repercussions. And so people began, and that not really began, but there was definitely a place in that whole world where people were part of that whole universal issues of violence that just tears generations.
So we want to think that's olden days, but your research was showing you had to really look for a teas if you were comfortable home.
Yes. And I don't know how much traveling you've done, but like if you go to Northern Kenya now, people who are full-time tea pickers, and I say full-time because they work full-time, but they're not regarded as full-time workers with the same rights. Coffee's done much better in fair trade than tea has. But for us, if you go into Northern Kenya, it was like women were living, in the Randava mud huts with their children, not enough money to buy food, not enough money to buy their kids a uniform to go to school, and they're taking tea out of for some multinational corporation. But there are a few where people are paid decent wages and people care, and it was like trying to figure out which ones of those that we could buy from and start participating in. And then also help start some new ones and start, kind of a new tea justice revolution. It was fun.
I'm Brad Schmitt with the Tennessean. I'm here with Reverend Becca Stevens, and we are talking about her new book. It's The Way of Tea and Justice. Jericho Books. Am I saying that correctly, Katie? I think so. Jericho Books is where you can find this, right, online. It's a really interesting read. It's also in local bookstores. I'm being told on this side of my head.
You can't
So
see that person.
yeah, you can. There's puppet masters everywhere in this room, and we are happy to be made everybody today. So this book was really interesting to me. And by the way, you can join our chat. This is Google Chat, and so if you have questions, go ahead and submit those now, and we'll take it. And they're going to pop up on our screen here. And
This
Becca,
is so
you'll be
exciting.
happy to.
Oh,
You'll be happy
somebody,
to
I'm
answer
gonna sit there and look at them.
So as you can see, Becca is very open to answering your questions. So the part that I loved about this the most, and I told Becca I was ready to, I did cry when I read it because I've been in recovery for myself, and I met one of the women who shared their stories. You had women who shared their personal stories of recovery and what preceded recovery in this book. And tell me why it was important for you, because they weren't really tea related, right? So tell me why it was important for you to include some of the women who you felt.
Well, all the women that are included were the first employees of the cafe. So, like, even though the woman that you're thinking about is Amika, who is now one of the heads of the shipping department, when we first started, she was hired to work in the cafe. So everybody tries to find their place at Thistle Farms. It's like, I want to be in food, I want to be in retail, I want to be in shipping, and we sort that out. But that was the beautiful thing, is that when we opened the cafe, we could immediately hire 6 women. Immediately. We have, I think they're waiting, about 15 women are waiting to be hired at Thistle Farms, and about 100 women are waiting to get in at Nightly. So the idea of opening any new venture and having the women come in, and I felt like for the women to be able to say it really in their own words, we work together to edit it down a bit, but to say, this is my truth, this is my story, and this is how I want to help other people feel. Everybody says here at Thistle Farms, we don't make this cup of tea just to make money. We don't make a candle just to have a job. We make a candle for the next woman coming through. We make this cup of tea because we love the people we serve. That there's a part of our healing that is about for the next person and about serving and about giving.
Tell me a little bit about. I'm trying to awkwardly pick my phone. Tell me a little bit about the women who you do serve, what their histories are like. I mean, not just Nika's story per se, but can you talk about the women who come into who might be waiting on you? What kind of backstory if you go to Thistle Stop Cafe, or if you buy a Thistle Farms product, which you should.
Thank you. Did you say that you were going to buy some product?
Yes, I have. My phone is filled with text orders from friends and recovery
so nice.
Want products.
Thank you, thank you. This is our big 6 weeks. So the story is that women on average should come to Magdalene and Thistle Farms. And Magdalene is the recovery part. Thistle Farms is the bath and body care. What is it? Just manufacturing, sales, distribution. The women that come to us seeking help on average are first rate between the ages of 7 and 11. I've done this work for 17 years, and I have yet to meet a woman coming off the streets of Nashville, Tennessee, who has not been raped ever in all the years I've done this work. So if you're talking to somebody that is formerly homeless and female, you probably can safely assume that they are bearing those scars of sexual violence, and maybe not even post-traumatic stress, maybe still just in the middle of the traumatic stress. And then on average, the women that we serve put the streets are their teenagers. So it's a pretty humbling group that has a lot to teach us about how community is a part of our calling out, but also how important community is for us.
And just so much respect for you, to deal with that population. Because I think folks are scared to deal with people who do that kind of trauma in their lives.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I can't imagine it.
They're scared of them.
I have loved these communities so much that I've gotten to work with over the years. I'm telling you, it's been saving grace. And I don't even know what that means when I'm saying that. I mean, that's what it feels like. And you probably can pick that phrase apart and find something crazy about it. But I do feel like it's been the place of hope. I mean, it is so traumatic, and it is a story that is full of horror. In the healing of it, there's funny stuff. I mean, there's humor, there's powerful stuff, there's hopeful stuff, and joyful stuff. It's like be with somebody that's been on the streets 15 years and watch them have their first Christmas.
Mm.
Be with somebody that has been inside prison and watch them on their next child's Christmas. You know, I mean, it's like where else in the world would you want to be?
That's awesome. You, how many stories are there for this book? So at least two.
I think there's about five. There should be. I may have edited some of them.
Who knows what's in this thing?
I don't know. I wrote it so
You have no idea. That's why you should pick it up because you'll be shocked.
It's a page turner. Isn't it a book about tea?
Well,
the thing is, it's kind of got some fun stories in there,
yes.
not just about our women, but about learning about the tea and the journey we've taken together. We just got a note.
All right, here we go. We have a question, and here it is. Hi, Brad. My name is Jennifer Klinger, the 2012 Magdalene graduate and Thistle farmer. I love that phrase. It's no secret that you and I are in recovery. That is correct. I was wondering how your recovery has impacted your work in everyday life. Wow, that's a question for me. It's supposed to be a question for you.
You mean say how it's impacted your life?
I will quickly say so that we can get back to that before. Wow, how has it affected me? I mean, I was a person who was living in fear all the time for the greater glorification of myself. Everything I did, even if it was for somebody else, was in hopes to get brownie points with you, so you would think more highly of me, because I needed that affirmation of constant, constant, constant. Please validate me, please validate me, please validate me. And I've been in recovery for about 4.5 years, and I've learned that to feel better myself, that I need to serve others. Like that's why I have so much respect for people who can find things like healing or things like helping, things like reaching out to other people without crashing and burning like I did. I got two DUIs and got fired from my job, and that's how I got into recovery. So folks like Reverend Stevens, who have been helping us all along, who have not had that, like, I shouldn't speak for, I don't know what exactly the background is, but there's lots of folks who didn't need that trauma and drama to get into helping other people, who knew that that was the right thing to do from the get-go. And so that's how my life has changed. I really definitely managed it. Even in my professional life in Tennessee now, I used to write about celebrity stuff.
I remember.
And it was fun and entertaining or whatever, but now I'm writing stories of restoration and transformation. And it's been in the Tennessee, and thank God it's given me a place to do that. So that's how my life has been different. Thank you very much, Jennifer, for being my sister in recovery and for asking my question. Thank you for letting me tell my story.
You know, I was thinking when you were talking about that, I think most of the people that come to the circle already know brokenness. I mean, most people that give, we have, you know, in even one of the things that the book does is really establish the historical timeline of opening the cafe and what that was about. Everybody that came along, everybody. I'm talking about the first three donors that all pitched in $25,000 were like, I'm in recovery, or my mother never had recovery, or I was, you know, sexually abused at 8 years old. But this story of brokenness, it was one of the first things that really hit me, and it really around the cafe, and really when we started this particular book, was how much gratitude people have. I mean, when people are practicing, a recovering person is a person with gratitude. So we've never had to take any federal or state funding, never had to worry that there's always
That
people
around
that say, like, it's good for me to give. It's good for me to tell my story and to be a part of it. So I think your story is beautiful, and I also think it makes sense to me that you would be drawn to this work and this world of justice and compassion for women.
I think the other thing is too that, like, when you compare stories, so like when I read Anika's story and when I've heard some other stories in rooms, then I'm like, oh well, they had it worse than I did, or you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But we all have our stuff. I grew up with a fair amount of verbal abuse, a little bit of physical abuse, and I lost my dad to brain cancer when I was young. So but like I'm like, okay, so that's not, that's not, there's challenges with that, but I wasn't, severely physically assaulted. I wasn't sexually abused. I didn't get the poverty. So like, I feel like a lot of, like, I bring in recovery survivors guilt a little bit, until the women and the people with the, what I think are more traumatic stories say to me, we're all like broken and we all have that same spiritual background. And, you know, feel free to be you, just as I'm going to feel free to be me. And that permission to just to be me and have my stories is great too. And I learned so much from your women, you know, um, for what they went through, so and empathy and connection. That is really, really powerful.
I remember when I used to have it. I used to call it the Rwanda syndrome. Like I didn't survive. I'm not a Rwandan genocide survivor. I can never feel anything or I can never complain about anything. And I was in Rwanda listening to those stories, and then the women wrote letters. And one of the first groups that we talk about in this book is a group from Rwanda. So I come back to Nashville, and there's this beautiful young woman that's been a part of our community since she was 19 in Jordan. And Jordan was raised in horribly abused in orphanage in Brazil. Brought to the U.S., adopted in, had some bad bad experiences, trafficked on the streets, addicted. Came into Magdalene at 19, and she was mad at everybody. She was da 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 da. I brought those stories in from Rwanda that the women had written to our women. And there was a woman in Rwanda that had a very similar story to hers in Brazil. She reads it in Nashville, and she finally got mad on behalf of somebody else. Why did that happen to her? That's horrible. That poor woman. And it was her compassion for the other woman, I mean, her anger for the other woman that gave her compassion finally for herself. Like, oh my gosh, I can have compassion for myself. Like, whatever our journeys are, getting mad on behalf of the movement or getting mad on behalf of the woman who has a story, then the question is, to me, is like, does it open up a place of compassion for yourself? And that's the gift, I think.
More questions. I'm Brad Schmitt with the Tennessean. This is Reverend Becca Stevens, who has a wonderful new book out. Here it is, The Way of Tea and Justice. Check it out. It is available in bookstores. Jericho Books is where you can find it online, or just Jericho Books. They're fabulous.
Your people are going to love it. That has recipes in front of every chapter. I'm telling you, if
That's
you are
true.
watching this, you're going to love this book. If you have a history with tea or you want to learn more about tea, you've kind of been intimidated by it, this is a book that links both the practice of drinking tea and some of the practical stuff, but also some of the more important justice issues that are.
Interesting. So we have another, and 1 o'clock is, I think, is our stopping point, Central Time. Is that right? So feel free to jump on here. There's a place in the Google chat where you can submit a question, and I have handed to me this piece of paper. Hi, Brad. It's Anika, who I love, 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 love. Thank you for including me in your article in the newspaper. Can you let people know that if they'd like to help me and my sisters here at Thistle Farms, that they can order their holiday gifts from thistlefarms.org. Anika is a wonderful marketer, I see. That's thistlefarms.org. Each order gives a woman a chance for a new life. Like Anika. So, yes, feel free, thistlefarms.org. I'm going to let Becca tell you a little bit about the products, because all I can think of are like oils, moisturizing creams, and things that dudes don't generate. Ointments? That's balm. Ointment is too old. Is that old? Oh, there you go. There's some products right behind you.
So this is just bath salts right here. It's very cute. You hold them.
Like,
take a picture.
All right, so I seriously don't, like, do you like literally put these in the bath water with you?
Yes, you literally put them in the bath water. That's what you literally do. It is awesome. But let me just show you one.
It feels like so you're turning yourself into a giant Christmas.
Okay, think about
drink.
all the ways that you don't understand this. But look at this one. This one's moringa. Okay, this is, so there's all the ways that this whole creation is about our healing. Brad, everything about it, right? So we take in thistle tea bags, we put them in a cup, and we drink it. We put oils on our bodies. It has lavender, and it makes us feel peaceful and sleep well at night. You're having trouble sleeping last night. I'm going to give you a lavender spray. You're going to feel like a baby tonight. But so when we started this book on tea, one of the other things we wanted to do was partner all the tea with ways of helping actual women. So moringa is an old tree in Mexico. It's been used like maybe 20 different healing properties. We have a moringa blend that's part of this brand new women's group there. So we have exclusive rights to Whole Foods to all of their bath salts. So we created a bath salt.
Are you
called
serious?
Moringa.
That is a huge coup.
Right. So it's Moringa Madres. So they're making, you can drink it in your tea. You can put it in a bath salt and soak in it. You could, it's still the same healing properties. Put it in the oil and rub it on your skin. All these ways we ingest this healing. In all these ways, we're helping a group of women in the middle of Mexico. Some of them have never had a paycheck before this came out with it. That's called
awesome.
Moringa Madres is the name of it. And so we blended it into teas, into bath salts, and any way we can think of. It's like, let's just make it healing and joyful.
Do you have the spray thingy?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem.
Um,
Ooh, and you also have those really cool candles.
yes, the
Can I go
candles.
grab one?
Yes. The candles, what makes them so great are they're one example of how we can partner with a lot of different organizations together. Oh my gosh, Brad, you got to see him. He's just running around and picking stuff up like he owns the place all of a sudden. So one of the things we wanted to do with this book is to connect women's groups around the globe. So we started an alliance called Share Trade. So one of the things we might do is take the geranium oil from a women's group in Rwanda, blend it with other essential oils that we found, and put them into soy candle. And Ty, who is one of the teachers of forgiveness in this whole world, was our candle maker. We light a candle every day. She makes them, and people can purchase them. That one's already burned. Look, there's one that's purple. Look, that one's really pretty.
That's pretty.
Isn't that nice? So, Share Trade is a way for us to support all women's groups. We have about maybe 15 groups in an alliance with us now who are around the globe, where women are the most important part of the work that they do, and it's for the good and healing of the world.
You created that yourself, I mean, right? You're the one who started that alliance.
Well, I would say a group of us did that together.
I mean, that's really impressive. That's really, really cool that you created
it. It really is cool. And you can go online and see sharetrade.org. It's part of Thistle Farms. It's part of the movement of our Justice Tea movement. Look at you, your body butter. It's all there.
This is just something you moisturize with. I don't know what you do with body
Love
butter.
you, Brad, so much. You put that on your skin. You have skin. It's the largest organ in the body. That we're gonna show you how to use that. You'll love it.
Okay. My man card will be revoked.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely going to be spending about $50,000 at the Thistle and Stuff Cafe here in Nashville, which is delicious. So thank you very much. We are about to wrap up. Hashtag Tea and Justice if you're online. Click on
Wait,
that.
they're giving me a signal. What?
Hashtag Tea and Justice will get you some more conversation about Becca's movement here. Her book is The Way of Tea and Justice, and you can find that in stores and also online. And Becca now has a spray.
All right. There's the spray.
And here's our last. Is that just the air freshener?
Yes.
Wonderful. There you go. So, and one last thing, thistlefarms.org. Anika would like you to put in a big order at thistlefarms.org.
Thank you for tuning in. And thanks for all our friends who already know a lot of this and they tuned in too. Thank you. We need everybody to be together on this and keep sharing the joy.
Thank you. That's what you do.
Okay, we did it! That seems unbelievable we did it.